There you go. Well, welcome to the 7 o'clock talk. We are inside because it's raining again. And tonight we're going to talk about Zone 2 training and its importance and why it's important for multiple reasons. And we're also going to talk about something that we're starting to explore as it pertains to long hauler syndrome. There are some new products that have been coming out, and of course we have to be careful of what and how we say things. But we saw a short video, and it was talking about how the protein is attaching to bone. They're finding it in the mitochondria, in the DNA. And so now people have to have a way to start to pull and bring that out.
Respiratory system and sinuses.
Yep. And
the lining of the intestines.
And it's a real issue. I mean,
heart muscle too.
People are struggling. Well, and
actually,
the microclotting
looked like they had a heart attack, but they actually hadn't had a heart attack. So they cleaned up the mess and then they went back to normal.
And then they had, remember, the microclotting.
The worst case scenario is the microclotting.
Yeah. And so they're starting to do all kinds of research on the squeaking you hear in the background is the dog going bananas on its little dog or doll or whatever that thing is. But there's hope out there. And I have had lung issues because of the spike protein. Now, I didn't get it from an injection. I got it from just the natural contraction and then the ensuing immunity to it. But I mean, I was really bad there for a while. You were worried about me going upstairs, putting on my shoes. And that leads into our second topic. So first topic is there is a lot of research. There are actually products now that we're probably going to test on me and see how it does. But there is a lot of hope for people who are suffering with this because I see it all the time. And right now, the protocol from the IFM, I forget, is like 7 or 8 different products. And they're starting to get that actually pared down to just a few. So once again, don't give up. Keep trying. If you have questions, send us an email and we will be happy to talk to you about that. But there is hope for long haulers and starting to clear that out. And then that leads into our second discussion. We have both started using the Morpheus device. What do you think of it?
I don't really know much about it yet.
Well, you started reading, you started doing more exercise with it. What do you think about its guidance?
Well, I guess it makes me go slower, so I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I apparently exercised wrong. I was creating more stress than I was actually helping myself. So there's a fine line. But I also realized that I was way healthier than I thought I was.
Oh yeah, because you popped up in the top third of the challenge.
I'm in the top 20%.
Top 20% of the challenge. And so when we look at that stuff, Zone 2 training correlates to VO2 max.
It's kind of like holding a horse back. It's kind of the way I correlate it.
I know nothing about horses.
It's like instead of riding a horse and you're walking, trotting, cantering, running. My exercise, I used to just go from walking to running, and now the program itself allows you to hold yourself back into a specific range instead of overloading and keeping in your zones. And you don't really need a lot. You don't really need a lot of that moderate or overload. Overload
big time. And that's what a lot of people do. They go into that overload training, and that's where the burnout, that's where the damage, that's where the problems come. And we have no affiliation with Morpheus Training. So we just have started to use their product. We're a week into it.
Well, as we compare the two, so we have auras and have had auras for a very long time.
Years.
And my aura ring says that I have like a cardiovascular system of a 60-year-old. So you wear the heart monitor and you watch the ring, and so aura says I have a heart rate variability in the 50s, and actually I've had a heart rate variability no less than 81 on the Morpheus. I've been in the low 80s to low 90s.
And just so you know the difference in these things, straps, the heart rate straps, are a lot more accurate than the monitors that are in here. And even Dr. Peter Attia, who is the on-staff doctor for Aura, he doesn't use Aura for training. He just uses that to monitor his sleep now. And he is using the Morpheus strap for the training. And so, like for where I started, we can see that I am supposed to have 200 to 300 minutes this week of zone 1 training. And this is just dedicated. You're not supposed to wear the strap going to the grocery store and stuff like that. When you are doing dedicated exercise for zone 1, that's when you wear it. And so I've got 108, and it starts on a Monday. It always resets on a Monday. And so I've got 100 of my 2 to 300 in zone 1. I have 12 of my 32 to 57 in zone 2. And I have 3 of my 5 to 17 in overload. And they just actually expanded that to the 17 for me because it was 2 to 3 minutes. And zone 1 is for recovery. And that's to allow your body. Most people, when you thought of recovery, what did you used to think of recovery? How did you think we were supposed to recover?
It's just a slow down till your heart rate goes normal.
And most people sit there and think when they're in recovery, you go sit on the couch, you watch television, you veg, and you do nothing. No, that is not recovery. That's called being sedentary.
I wouldn't have thought. I just thought you needed to walk, like to slow. I never thought of recovery as an actual workout. For recovery, I would think you did your workout and then you cooled down by walking or whatever.
So no,
but they actually consider recovery as another workout, a very light workout.
That's 100 beats or more. So you have to get your heart rate up to 100 beats per minute or more. And that's
hard. That's not hard. It's not hard to get 100 beats. It's hard to just keep it between 100 and, for me, 100 to 133.
That's where
you have to really focus.
But that's where your cardiovascular fitness will start to come in.
But it's hard. That's like when you have to focus on, and when you're on a bicycle, that's just like getting ready to fall over.
And so if you start to look at or do any studying and research on longevity and health, VO2 max is the amount of oxygen that you can intake and process. And that's linked to longevity is unbelievably close. The more somebody's VO2 max is, the more health and longevity they have. And so where you really get that is when you do the zone 2 training. Now, they don't care how you train. So like if I'm doing zone 2, I really like zone 2 on the bicycle. It's super easy for me to get zone 2 on the bicycle, hold it on the bicycle. And that comes back from my Ironman days where I would spend 3 or 4 hours on a bicycle in zone 2. So my body just instinctively goes there. When I run, it's zone 2 is non-existent. I go from zone 1 to overload like that. And I hate running. And right now, because my lungs are on the mend, it's been just work. But you really need to know how and what motivates you to train. Because I like gadgets. And this thing's only $97 one time.
I hate gadgets.
Yeah, she doesn't like gadgets. I love
I
gadgets.
don't like gadgets of any kind.
No, you like your pampered chef.
Give me a bowl and a spoon and I'm happy.
So I like gadgets. I like metrics. I like looking at what I am doing, and I like to measure it. Because when I do those things, then I'm more motivated. And so for the past 2 weeks, I haven't missed any training sessions. And I feel like I'm not burnt out. I really haven't complained of too much leg tiredness. And I haven't been just wiped out and gone right to bed, have I? I mean, last night I wanted to go to bed early so I could get up early. And so I could go train. Today I lifted weights, and then I went for a 2-mile run, and I got pretty much most of my overload. Tomorrow will be a very light day again. Tomorrow will probably be a zone lawn bike ride where I will probably ride for an hour, and I'll go to Butlerville and back. Butlerville and back is pretty much now a 30-minute ride each way for me. But you just feel so much better. I mean, with the cold, and here's the other thing. We don't just do one thing. You've eliminated coffee other than when you want it for a treat because of the cold plunge, the exercise, the nutrition, everything that you do.
I don't need it to wake up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't use coffee to wake up.
No. And neither do I.
Just a once a week treat.
Yeah.
Just because I want to go to the coffee shop and have a conversation over coffee.
Yeah. And that's when you're really taking care of yourself. Those are the things that you can do. You can choose when you want to have a glass of wine and you sit down and relax and just have a good time. Those are the things that we want for you. And we want everybody to have good foundational health so that they can then decide, when they want to go out to eat and when they want to do stuff. We had fun. We had burgers the other day on the grill. So we weren't really bad. 2 weeks ago.
Nothing we eat is bad.
Well, 2 weeks ago we went to Freddy's, and we genuinely got to enjoy it. And we didn't wake up with joint pain, and we didn't wake up with diarrhea or any of that stuff.
Yeah, but that never happens. That's like once or twice a year.
So, Freddy's? Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get it.
Most of the food, if we even eat out, is it's the better of the.
The worst we do is Chipotle or what's that place, McAllister's. Those are the worst. And of fast food, those are good.
Salads, but yeah.
And so people don't realize
it's the quality of the food. It's not necessarily what you're eating. It is, but it isn't like the quality of the food.
Yep.
We just had this conversation. So somebody said, they were talking about the elimination diet and organics and the quality of food, even with organics. So I had somebody make food for me that were organic, and everything I ate made me sick. So the quality of your food, regardless of whether it's got an organic stamp on it or not, matters. So you can get an organic egg from the store and crack it in a bowl. And you can go get an organic egg from your farmer or your backyard chicken where you don't feed it anything outside of bugs and grass, and crack it in another bowl. And looking at them is two different. They're just two different animals. But not only do they look different, they make you feel different. So his question to me was is how do I know what to buy organic and then pass and go buy something different? And I'm like, well, that's just really hard. Honestly, I don't think that you're going to get a quality product organic from a Walmart, a Costco,
Kroger.
or a Aldi's or a Kroger. But if that's all you have available to you, then I would always pick the organic over the regular. But given the opportunity or the choice, if you're wanting vegetables, then find an absolute organic farmer that doesn't use chemicals. And I'm like, and the difference there is you got to talk to people. If they're actually doing the work to be organic and no pesticides, they're going to be very proud of it and they're going to want to share it with you. Now, if you're like, hey, is this organic? And they're like, yeah. And they don't, and that's the end of it, then I'd question that. So I would always try to find, whether it's local or not, like we found a organically grown pasture raised beef only, but it's in Kentucky. And so I was just telling this gentleman, the quality of the meat is so much different. They don't raise their livestock on pasture that's been had chemicals on it
for 20 years. It's not been
plus, They can track it. They never feed their cattle grain ever. They never immunize them or give them antibiotics of any kind. And if they do because that animal is sick, they eliminate it from their herd. Yeah, and so the quality of that meat, when you look at hamburger versus hamburger, like it looks like chicken and bison, like it's deep red. But then I'm like, but there's other things like, don't worry about organics because they're really meaningless in the big scheme of things because their skins are too tough, like bananas or avocados. But it's the quality, I guess. For him, I'm like, I know I didn't really answer your question, but the quality of the food matters irregardless of the organic label.
Yep.
And so if you're going to a fast food restaurant, but they are sourcing things locally, the freshest they can get it, kind of like the Chipotle, then it's probably going to be better for you
than Taco Bell.
Than some of the things you cook in your own house, and definitely Taco Bell.
And so that website that I put up there, the ewg.org, they do a dirty dozen. That's where you can type your zip code in and look at the contaminants in the water. There's a lot of information on there for you. And so, but this is where, when you're training with something like Morpheus and you're eating right and you're working on getting that 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep, it just all works together to make you feel better, to make you not moody, and it helps your hormones and it helps your brain repair and it activates the lymphatic system, and there's just so much to it. And it's really just the 5 simple pillars: sleep, nutrition, movement, stress, and community. And the more that you work within those bounds of having good relationships and eating the best food that you can and exercising, then when you come to somebody like us, the recovery is so much easier and quicker.
Well, and don't get frustrated if you're doing all of those things and you're doing all of them right and you're still heavy or you're still not making a goal, because you can be doing all those things and not making goals, but your insides are healthy.
Yep. And they're working to get better, Then that's why we do a phase angle. We look at cell health to make sure that it's getting healthier. So that's all we got for tonight. Definitely, if you need help with training, hit us up. If you're having a problem with long haulers, definitely hit us up because we can help you there. But, if you're not moving, start. Your lymphatic system depends on it. Your immune system depends on it because your muscles depend on it. I mean, everything that we espouse all feeds on itself.
Well, and it doesn't have to be hard. It can be as simple as doing your yard work every day.
Yep. So with that being said, you all have a great night, and we'll talk to you next week.
I'm going to get my bike ride because it's raining.